think I'm the one appointed to tell you what are the practical tasks behind the ELRC. I'm sure that we will find an acronym that even native speakers of English could be able to pronounce. So as Joseph said, this is different from the R&D programs or project that we are used to. This is a service contract. So basically the big difference is that in R&D project, we promise to put some efforts to achieve something, and here we are committing to achieve something, whatever the effort required and needed. So it's really result-oriented rather than research-oriented thing. I don't feel that you need to learn more about the partners behind the program. This is DFKI, ELDA, ILSP, TILDA, and TAOS. I'm sure that most of you know who is who and the expertise that you have seen over the last couple of decades. We have been listening to elogious speeches about TILDA and what TILDA did. I'm sure that you have seen what ILSP, who part of Metanet, Panacea, but also Clarin, Greece, etc., etc. We can go really decades back and see that the expertise is there. So what are the specifically our goals within this program? I think the main message here is that we have very specific goals, and they are very small in number. We have a timeline that is very short. We have to run very, very quickly. It's like running 100 meters and also a marathon in the same time. And I think Joseph made it clear that we cannot achieve that without you. We stated very often that we are trying to serve the DGT and all the administrations, but we are quite confident and sure that if we serve these organizations, we will also serve our own community, both the R&D and the industry, through the resources that we would like to secure. And of course, we will have to think seriously about how we sustain the whole process so it's not one-shot effort. So I try to restructure a little bit the tasks that I will elaborate upon later on into one golden goal. And the golden goal is we need to secure over 200 language resources that are usable for the assisted translation. And if we achieve that, that's the core part of the game. And to do that, we have agreed together on a number of instruments. And in addition to what Joseph said, I would like to just list a few of these instruments. The first one, we would like to set up a help desk that is staffed with people experienced in all the technical issues that we are dealing with, that we have been discussing, but also legal aspects, and you will hear later on this afternoon about some of the legal aspects that we are dealing with very regularly. We want to connect the friends we have in each country, and we have seen a few of them here, with the national champions, those who are really key people and can open the doors to a large number of resources in their own country. In order to do so we will be organizing the workshops, one per country, and I think the key criteria is if within these workshops there is more than 2 people we know, this is the wrong attendees. So, and I will tell you a little bit more about how we would like to do that. And the major idea is to start or to set up a pipeline between all these data holders and the group. And of course, we have to think seriously about what would be the win-win situation. Why should a civil servant in a Maltese administration or French one hand over the data to us like that? So what would be the win-win deal for all the parties? So the first task within the group is the help desk that we would like to establish Some of you may have seen that Elra, but also MetaShare, have been running a number of help desks for the last few years now, where we could answer questions about format of the data, but also IPR issues, administrative issues, and the like. So we would like to make sure that this help desk is staffed with people who can understand very naive questions from people who are holding data, but they are not from our community. And this help desk is something that we would like to start with immediately, so people, when they start hearing about our workshops, they are already aware that someone can answer their question. And we took very serious commitment vis-à-vis the Commission to answer these questions within 24 hours for the basic ones, maybe a week for the more complex ones. So that's the help desk. The next task is to set up a website. This is very common, except that we would like to have something where you could understand what we are doing in the CEF program, including by having a multilingual website. Tilda is in charge of this part with the support of the other partners. And basically, this is the place to go to learn what the project program is doing, where the workshops are heading and what is the workshop material. And of course, we will have bridges to the repository of the data, to the workshop material, and the like. Now the workshop, this is really the important piece of work within the project as an instrument to secure the data. So basically, we would like in these workshops to start talking to other communities than ours. I said we need to talk to the civil servants who are administering translations in their departments, who may have produced reports and documents or whatever for their own use, and they are not aware that this could be a very important asset for language technology. So the idea is to identify these decision makers, try to evangelize somehow. I'm using this word on purpose. And the key words in our spirit is multilinguality is the most important asset in Europe, the MT and language technology role, and also the data assets. So you can still see that this is typically our perspective, what these people would like to hear. And we will organize these workshops in a way that we have a kind of rehearsal to start with, to understand if these are really the key topics or the key concepts that these people would like to hear, or if there is something completely different. So how we are going to organize it? I think the idea is to have one workshop per country, 10, 20 people who are really doorkeepers in this research sector, and try to bring in experts from the European Union agencies, from the national bodies, who can tell them why these technologies are important, but also why the resources they are holding are important. And of course, we want to do that in the local context, so we want to localize all the material. We want to pay for interpreters if our speakers have only ability to speak English for scientific things. So it has to be local event. And of course, we want to have all the people behind the publication activities and right owners or right holders involved in this. And here I would like to insist on the role of our anchor point. The friends we have in each country, it's one of their duties to make sure that they start the bridges between our group and the local decision makers. What are the expectations from these workshops? As I said, the basic outcome we expect is to identify the stakeholders in the country. Those who are in a Ministry of Finance producing financial reports in 3 or 4 languages, those who are subcontracting translation to translation agencies, and those who are familiar with the public sector initiative in Europe and are pushing their country to get out the public data into the open area. So, and of course, we would like to make sure that the people feel comfortable with the exercise. We are not really telling them the public sector initiative force you to get the data out. It's working together on a win-win situation rather on taking these severe actions. The way we would like to do that is, in terms of organization, have these workshops run in 2 or 3 phases. I think you realize that this is a really special way of doing things and different way of doing things. So we need to rehearsal somehow. So we decide to go for maybe 3 or 4 workshops before the summer. So as I said, we are running 100 meters in parallel to a marathon. And the 3 or 4 countries that would be selected will depend on how motivated, how comfortable our anchor point feel for their countries. And these 3 or 4 workshops will be serving as also a learning phase, whether we are addressing the right people, whether we are using the right messages, and so on. In order to distribute the work, we had our own Yalta in a few months ago, so we distributed the Europe into 3 areas, and we tried to split it between ELDA, ILSP, and TILDA, but of course, all the partners will be involved one way or another, including DFCI and TAOS, who are not running workshops per se. And of course, we will be regularly reporting the outcome of these workshops to the European Commission, and also looking whether we are achieving the goals that are getting the data at the end. So if we try to identify already now what could be the success factors or the success criteria for these workshops, I would say that, okay, we need to do some logistic quick work. We need to run all these workshops within the next 6 months, which is really already a challenge. We need to make sure that these workshops are very attractive for the key players that I listed and mentioned already, because the idea is this is the gatekeepers, and we need to get the data through them. And the other features are minor things, but one of the criteria is how many resources will be donated after this workshop. The last big task, and as I said, the golden goal, is to collect the language resource sets that would be useful for the EEC services. You heard about a number of DSIs this morning and early this afternoon, but we hope that this could serve the community at large afterwards. So the first thing that we will need to do is to identify these resources. We need to collect them and make sure they are usable. And I have just listed here, but I'm not going into details how we plan to do that. We can, of course, crawl most of the websites, archives, and the like, but we would like to get things that are probably sitting in drawers on some, hopefully not floppy disks, but almost that people have been produced in the past. And of course, we would offer services like pre-processing services to clean the data, to reformat it if it's in the wrong format, and to also add some documentation to the data so it gets usable. Very often, although we are talking about public data, we might face some legal issues. Particularly, we have seen in the past that from time to time, even public bodies forget to sign the right contract with a translation agency, and they don't know afterwards whether the data belongs to the agency or belongs to the government. So this is the kind of things that we will have to clean. We will have to run some quality control and quality check to make sure that we can talk about the data in the right way. And of course, we will deliver this at the end to the Commission, but we'll be probably delivering this over time. The data quality, I think this is an issue. We are, we are targeting the 30 countries, all the administrations, and from the most advanced adopters of technologies to the basic department that produce annual reports. So I think a number of quality control and quality measures will be put in place. And Joseph already mentioned that we are expecting data in all formats. It would be really surprising that we get everything Unicode, XML, maybe aligned in a nice format. We might get more often OCR documents, maybe lists of words, maybe reports in either Microsoft Office or some other word processing system. But the idea is to try and get whatever we get, and at the end we can still select. So the role, and this is one of the services that we could offer the partners we will be working with, is to clear the legal issues, to clean the data, to package it, to make it usable and reusable, and hopefully they will also benefit from this. This is an easy task in terms of success factor definition. We have an agreement that we have to secure over 200 resources usable for MT and assisted translation. The factor we will have here is to identify how many resources we are negotiating and getting over time, how many will be usable in the context we are working on for assisted translation, how many would be available only for the DGT, and how many are available widely, and also try to put the last item here about what the partners from the other side will be getting. And Spiros this morning said that the DGT is more than willing and already talking to the administrations all over member states to make sure that they get familiar with machine translation and maybe use machine translation in the local administration. So if we manage also to convince them that not only they can donate the data, but they can also take the technology and use it one way or another, that could be also a success factor. So I think that I said in my introduction that this is a service contract. I think many people already outside our community have heard about CEF and about this language resource collection. And I think that for us, it's really a big challenge. I think that the failure in fulfilling the requirement is not an option here. We really need to join forces between the EU, between the group that we listed here, between our community that has been gathering here for the last 3 days, but also with the member state representatives to make sure that we can achieve this. And if at the end we have the resources, but we have also evangelized somehow some of these member state representatives, we would have achieved our goal. Thank you very much.